Today we're going to be looking at restoring a Mego 1979 Jaws figure from the James Bond film Moonraker. So this was very common in the UK, this figure. You used to see it in all the cheap shops. No one really wanted it. It is a very unusual design. They've tried to put a bit of play feature in, so obviously in the film the character of Jaws has metal teeth. And this one they've put a magnet in, so to try and sort of replicate those teeth. So if you've got something metal, it will stick. You can play fetch. It's quite a nice feature, but it does mean that the face is in a very weird pose and he's got a huge square mouth. These figures suffer from greying of the head, something shocking. Now these figures seem to be quite rare. I think it's because no one really wanted them and probably not many people kept them, but they seem to go for quite a silly price usually. This one's got no clothes or anything, but he's in really good shape otherwise. I'm going to degrade a head using the plasti-dip method, so we're going to look at that, and then I'm going to try and also make some clothing for him, which obviously won't be, you know, a perfect imitation, but at least make him look okay, and then like a little bit of touch up on the head and that. So the first job is going to be to clean the head all over. I'm just going to use lighter fluid and a Q-tip on that, just to get any dirt and dust off for when it plasti-dips. And then we're going to plasti-dip it, take the head off, plasti-dip it, and see if we can get a bit of colour back into his cheeks. Okay, so pop the head off, giving it a good old clean. It's quite discoloured, so we'll be interested to see what the effect will be. I did try and get his teeth out, but they just don't want to come out and I don't want to force it. So I think it'll be okay. The plasti-dip will run down the sides, but we should be able to pick that out afterwards. So what I'm going to do is spray it with Turtle Wax Wet and Black, Tire Black, and then it gets dipped into red plasti-dip. I'll probably need a couple of coats. So you do one, take it off, have a look, do one. It's 24 hours between each dip, so it takes a bit of time, but let's do that now. Okay, so he's nice and wet from the tire weld. I'm just going to dip him, except he's got magnets of course, so that's fun. It takes a couple of dips for the red to stick all over. You can see it's not really stuck. This is the second dip, it sticks a bit better. And the third dip hopefully should stick quite well. And just let the excess run off. Pop it on a box or something and give it 24 hours. Okay, so been 24 hours on the first one, so we're going to peel this off and see what he looks like. So not a bad first pass, but a lot of colour back to him, so I'm going to do another dip, 24 hours, and see what he looks like. Okay, so this is the second one. Oh, stuck to the back there a bit. Is it dried? Yeah, it's dried. There's a second one. I always keep these little bits because someone did a good tip online that you break them all up and put them in the head, and that constantly leaches out the red colour, so it keeps it longer, supposedly. Okay, so let's peel all this off and see what he looks like. Okay, so you can see he's a much healthier colour. I don't think I'm going to do another one because I don't want to go too dark. But yeah, certainly better than he was. That's just light reflection that's doing the tonal change. I'll do a before and after picture as well. The next job is going to be pop his head back on, and let's have a look at making some clothes. Okay, so I've drawn up my pattern for the shirt. So you've got sleeve, collar, back of the shirt, front of the shirt, yoke, trousers belt. So I'm going to cut them out and then cut out material and we'll start sewing. Okay, so I've cut the pattern pieces out. This is for the shirt and pinned it out, and I'm being helped by my little friend Maggie. She sat right on the sewing machine, which is going to be interesting. The next job is to cut this out. So I'm sewing the two fronts to the back yoke. I'm going to sew the back on there. Just going to sew the collar. What are you doing? Okay, so I'm sewing the lining and the yoke. My one bit of advice on clothes this side is always press your seams. It just makes it much easier to work with. So there's the body. So now we're going to trap the collar and sew up the neckline, and then we should be able to place it on the figure and see what it's starting to look like. Okay, so just test fit that on. The collar looks nice on him. Got to cut all the threads off, and then put the sleeves on, put the arms on. Okay, when I finish sewing this shirt, I've got to find some little buttons for the front, so he's got a popper on it, cuffs and everything. I think it looks pretty good. So at least he's got a bit of clothing now. So the next job is to make his shoes. Okay, so I've cut the trouser parts. It's much simpler than the shirt. So you got two legs and a waistband, and I'm going to sew it up on my sewing machine, which is a Janome. Let's get that done. Okay, so I've made the trousers, put some braces on it. They're not perfectly accurate, but I think they'll look the part. Put some buttons on the shirt. So I'm going to dress him up and let's see what he looks like. Okay, so I've popped him in his clothes and I think he looks pretty good. It's obviously not 100% accurate. I need to get him some Mego boots. Those Action Man boots are a little bit small. But I think he'll look the part on the shelf. The trousers and shirt came out really well. Wasn't too difficult to do. Luckily it's not. I mean, I don't know how, if I had to make a uniform like that, that would be fun. But yeah, so I'm really pleased with that. I don't think I'm going to touch up his hair and that because it gives him that sort of worn look. But yeah, he's come out very nice, I think. Well, let me know if you want to see me do any more Mego restorations. What do you think on restoring stuff like this where you're totally redoing the clothes, so you're not using original parts? Got a thread, I'll have to trim that. I don't mind because I buy them to go on the shelf for part of the collection. They're not resellable. And to be honest, the difference between what I got the naked body for with the grey head to what one in this sort of condition would go for would put it out of my price range, to be honest. So I'm happy to have this one. But thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe if you can. Every little helps the channel. And I'll see you again next time. Thanks then. Bye.